Good evening, televiewers, and welcome to yet another exciting edition of our program Mountain Echoes. We're sorry for the late start because of some issues that we had with the car on the way, so I want to apologize for the late start of today. Notwithstanding, we have all the panelists on board. We are looking at this topic of today, today's edition: lack of discipline of children at home. Consequences are enormous. It is no news to us that the young people this time around, the children at home, if they are not well disciplined, the society is going to give them other tracks to take, and then chaos in the society as a whole. So we thought, as parents, as teachers, as guardians, as educators, as those who think about the welfare of these young people in Cameroon in particular, and in the southwest region, and in the Diocese of Buea, we think that it is necessary to bring this on board so that we could help our viewers out there, our very special friends of Mountain Echoes, and to guide the young people what is expected from them, what they ought to do, what the parents are expected to do, what the guardians are supposed to do, be it your foster child or be it your biological child or not. They are children and they are a gift from God. So it is our responsibility to assist them to ensure that discipline is a way of life for them, and will help them in the society. We begin on the right with Madam Maureen. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Father, and good evening to my fellow panelists. And happy to meet you all again this evening with this crucial topic, like Father already explained. Each time we bring up societal issues like this, I always say it is timely, because we need to do our best. We need to say it. If we just sit quiet and then things are going wrong, I think we also have ourselves to blame. But if we try our little best every time to create awareness, to talk to parents, to talk to everybody out there, I think we're going to succeed in one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm sure by the end of our program today, maybe you're sending greetings to the Stainless Sisters. I'm longing to see them. I don't know when I'm going to see them, but this 2025, God willing, we're going to meet with them. Maybe they come on board to tell us what they are doing, what the impact that they want to create in the society, like entrepreneurial women, entrepreneurial ladies yes. That Madam Onuko will be bringing them on board some time to come, maybe to come and talk on the DMRO TV, especially in our program Mountain Echoes. Madam Onuko, welcome and good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, and let's dive in.
Yeah, there's no time to waste. And Miss Aima, you're welcome. And someone has said that when Father is not around, you guys do not pass around the TV. So please, I hope when Father's absent, the TV is our TV. So we tried. Madam said she was busy. I'm sure Mr. Imatu, he sent information, busy with some marriage issue and some kind of stuff. You have to go to the village and put one or two things together. Madam Bowen has been in Bamenda putting few things together. Mr. Bo is always there, our backup. And when you call him, you know that he's always there for the good of the church. It's not Father's personal man, but he thinks that, to impact knowledge out there. Yeah. That's his own way of, preaching the gospel. So Mr. Bo, thank you for always being available, and thank you for accepting to be with us today. Good evening.
Good evening, Father. Good evening, fellow panelists and viewers of Divine Mercy, Echoes, Mountain Echoes, and we are grateful to be here today. And thank you, Father, again for the invitation. Normally, as I said, my intention is to share the little that I have, and the intention is to help to promote the Word of God, be able to revamp, to touch the ills of the society, to make a society a better place.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Bo. We kick the ball rolling. We begin this time around, Madam Maureen. We're talking about this topic. We'll see it later with the number there from JC. Lack of discipline of children at home. Be it at home. School is another home. Staying with your neighbor is another home. Staying maybe in the seminary is another home, where you have shelter. So the discipline is almost everywhere, and we are told that the consequences are enormous. So we look at the first part of it, which is understanding the issue on board. The issue, what do we have? So what are the common signs of this lack of discipline in children at home, be it maybe in school even? What are some of those signs that you may you can trace and say, no, this is a sign of indiscipline? Yeah.
Father, I beg your pardon. Let me just enlighten us and the viewers more on what is discipline.
Yeah,
I think discipline is the practice of training people to adhere to rules and regulations.
Yeah.
And that leads us to what is lack of discipline.
Yeah.
Especially with children. It's when children consistently fail to adhere to those rules and regulations, and that makes them to go out of self-control, to even enter risky behaviors. And like you say, it's good for us to enlighten the public, for them to know that it is sometimes normal for those children at that particular period to behave the way they are behaving. Yes, because sometimes parents are like, why should the children behave like that? It's just that we have to be on the guard. When we look at Erik Erikson theory of psychosocial theory, that talks of the child development. I'm interested with one of the stages that has to do with 12 to 18 years adolescent stage, where they talk about identity versus role confusion. At that particular time, they are searching for their identity. They want to know who they are. And that is the more reason you see them behave the way they behave. There is also this theory by Stanley Hall that talk of the storm and the stress. Yes, at that particular time, you see the adolescent in particular, there is a period that they have conflicts at home, they have mood swings, and they find it very difficult to take to instructions. So that is where we need to bring discipline to these children back at home. Because some parents always wonder, if we do not enlighten them on these things, that it is but normal and maybe biological for them children to behave at that time because of the developmental stage in which they find themselves. And at that particular time now, we need to bring in those things. You're asking me, what are those signs to show that a child is in that stage of lack of discipline, you know, in the home? When you see a child that is so disrespectful, you know, what comes out from their mouth, the language they speak, the child is not ready to take to any instructions, because at that particular moment they are very violent when it comes to viewing somebody as an authority figure. And at that time, we know that their parents at that time are the authority. And at that time, you see, they find it very difficult. There is this issue of self-regulation. Yes, they find it very difficult to control their emotions, to control their impulses. Some even run into tantrums and aggression. Yes, that is when you know that a child is lacking discipline.
Yeah, okay, we'll be coming back to that, Madam Maureen. Mr. Bo, could you just make this maybe a little distinction between this whole thing of when they say a child is maybe lack of home training and this kind of discipline stuff, lack of discipline, and that badly brought up lack of home training, those kind of comments that they make in the neighborhood, in the quartiers. How do we blend that with the topic of today? You know, lack of discipline. How do we look at this kind of maybe comments that they give, or maybe they make time and again to some of our children out there? Badly brought up. That's another one. So you know, how do we put those things? Yeah.
For that question, I think it is really in line with what we are talking today. When we're growing up, they expect each child to grow up with moral rectitude. We talk about decency and decorum. And when a child misbehaves, either in the quartier or mostly around the neighborhood, sometimes they need to go to verify their parents down in the traditional African community. Who is your father? Who is your mother? And then there was this common saying that lack of home training, because they expect that any fault, any misdeeds or misbehavior from a child should stem from the fact that there have been some parental neglect. The parents have not been able to carry their responsibility as supposed to be done, and that is why the child is behaving the way he or she is behaving. Blending that to our topic today, the lack of discipline of children at home, and they give the consequences are enormous. We see that discipline, the first parameter, the first foundation of discipline is the home. We go back to the church that says that the family is the basic unit of the society. And the greatest responsibility of the family is to how to bring up their children. I always say that if you go back in our society now, you find thieves, go and blame their parents. You find people who are committing all type of atrocity. The first people to blame is their parents. Now, why? Because we think that according to that lack of home training, lack of this, that the parents must have neglected, their responsibilities, and that is why the result is what it is today.
Okay, we'll be coming back to that. This is for Madam Onokwe. You know that some kids back there, they said, when they see them with this kind of weird behavior out there or attitude, and they said, it's being attributed to their moms, mommy picking that, you know. What do you think about it? It's so common. I don't know, maybe just tell us more about that. I'm sure you must have heard that maybe in your neighborhood too.
Like he said, it's common when a child is misbehaving and they attribute to the parents.
Yeah.
Like he was saying.
But more often it's to the mother.
More often is to the mother, because we believe that it is the mother that is
spend greater time.
Yes, spend a greater time with the child, has more time to nurture the child, you know, impact those ethics, all those things. So maybe if the mother tries to fail, or the child maybe has learned due to environment and is failing, they start blaming the mother. But at times it is attributed to the mother, but truth be told, some mothers really take time to teach good ethics to their children, but the environment in which the children grow up to really influence.
So environment is one of the teachers, so we cannot keep environment aside. So before we go to the end of this program, we're looking at what the environment contribute in bringing up the children, so that they will say they are not lack of maybe discipline to have a kind of good standard. So Mr. Emmanuel, you know, parents, especially the fathers, they do say these kind of things everywhere, and they say it with confidence, even in the beer parlors, that no, when this child, if the child is badly brought up, if the child lacks discipline, if the child is kind of maybe like the junkies, we've not seen girls there. There are few of them. You know, you say it boldly in the beer parlor, and maybe find yourself in bars that their mothers were not there. Say, "Na mommy, don't make that one. Na mommy, look at what the mothers can do." You know, the attribute. Why do you say those things? Is it that it's the responsibility 100% for women to bring up these children or these young boys and girls to be disciplined in the society? Why do men generally, they do say that with all confidence?
Yeah, thank you very much, Father, for that question. I remember quite well, there was a time we were talking about deviant behavior in schools that is visible, that is clearly seen in our young people of today. And some of the reasons we made mention of were an aspect of parents claiming to be too busy, most especially the fathers of the home. They actually, like she earlier said, accord every aspect of home training to be done just by the mother on those children, forgetting to know that most of the children we give birth to nowadays will actually not close an eye to what the mother says. They preferably respect the father more than the mother. And when the responsibility of bringing up these children is given just to the mother, and they always say in the African context that the mother has two hearts, and a mother with the two hearts she has will not be so strict in disciplining the child the way the father is supposed to, and as a result it ends up resulting to chaos in the society.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll coming back to that. You wanted to add something?
I want to just interrupt, saying that we made a statement, or you were saying something, that sometimes when the children are wayward, they will say it's because of the mother, and when they are, they are morally upright, they are good to go. They say
Papa's son or Papa's daughter.
So when Papa's always there to make sure that the children are upright, because most times we say that the Papas are always so busy, they are going to work, they are absent, and then all what is supposed to, the child is supposed to be brought up, nurtured, schooled, educated by the mother back at home. And then when that child is good, it's Papa's child. That child that was nurtured by the mother. And then when the child is bad, it's the mother's son. So I think that, well, it is just something that we just say, because I equally believe that a child should be, in those days, there is this statement that a child is brought up by a whole village. Yes. And now we have a society that's disintegrating. And we've become so selfish. Some parents have become overprotective. They defend their children even for the slightest complaint you give. And that is causing us this lack of discipline, even back in our homes. Because when a child knew that, let me just bring us a little story. When we were growing up and you leave maybe from school, from the market, and you're coming, you know, that adolescent time when people are, doing adventures, and you're standing, let's say, with a boy along the road, and you see your neighbor, your mother's friend, just know that you're as good as dead. And so we made sure that we were always very, very technical.
So what has stopped that kind of
that is what I'm saying. A lot of society is disintegrating. A lot of selfishness, a lot of overprotective. Parents, parents are condoning a lot of things.
And the media,
the social media
contributed also a lot. to that.
Yes, yeah.
Because Madame Maureen's son or daughter is Madame Onukwe's son or daughter also, and Mr. Bo's son or daughter. So you can't see them maybe in a kind of a mess, and then you allow them, you pass by and you say no.
So we're just crying that those values should be brought back, because when you go to our neighborhoods and you see the number of girls and boys that are wayward, because the tendency is that sometimes you, the mother, you don't always see your own child.
Yes.
But your neighbor will see it, your next friend will see it, and it just
and then they'll quote the scripture to you that you should remove the plank in your eye before
removing the one in somebody's eye. Meanwhile, if you had to listen and be receptive, I think you will join hands with your neighbor to bring up that child.
You made mention of one kind of is it a kind of a slogan or maybe a white saying that a mother gives birth to a child, but the village brings up the child.
Exactly. So the child is yours when it is only in the stomach. When the child comes out, it is that of the whole community.
Okay. So Mr. Bo, why do some parents struggle to enforce discipline only at home, and maybe out there they do not, maybe on the street? It means really nothing to them. They just try to. Why do you think that some parents do? They really insist and try to enforce that discipline at home, and when they are out, when the kids, maybe the boys and girls are out there, they have little or nothing to.
Father, when you ask that question, I just smile within me. I smile because sometimes we reflect in the society in different forms, and one of the ways is just that I remember a situation of a dog. When you see a very wild dog which is not around the compound, and you there with it, you will run away, and immediately the dog get closer to the compound. You cannot try again. It start backing. So we find a situation. There are some parents who want, in most cases, sometimes we need to respect the dignity of the individuals. That's very greatly. Our wives, our children, we have to respect their dignity. To scold a child up in the public, among friends, or maybe a spouse, for me, it is very, very ungentlemanly and unethical. Coming back at home, we call it home, not a house.
Yeah.
Now, that atmosphere of a home brings the atmosphere of serenity and the atmosphere of collaboration. And then, the thing that, as a father or as a mother, this is my seat. There we talk as a family, because aspect of discipline is for correction. When we treat a child with malice, it is where the problem is. Sometimes I used to find a situation where you punish a student, maybe in school, and I get this experience sometimes before and there. And when you are going back, you are going outside. They thank you for teaching us. So sometimes you punish the child, and the child knows that back at home, that's why the thing you take. Sometimes you get within the home, that comfort within the home. It is a period where you can have sufficient dialogue, you can have directions, and then the child will actually feel he will be able to reflect and understand that my father loves me, or my mother actually loves me. That is why he's taken this. Because another parent, look at the child, that father that you try to employ discipline maybe in school or down in public, they are scared of it. They don't like it. They detest it. Yes, sometimes they need to protect their personal ego also. Now, if to them it's a disgrace, so sometimes, normally for aspect of disgrace, they want to. You may have an embarrassing, yes, from your own child, back in public, but back at home they chill. They understand that yes, my father or my mom has respect for my dignity. There, they listen and they try to. So I think that one of the reasons greatly is that it is not malicious. The home is the better place where dialogue and where correction can take place in a family manner. That's why they prefer to do that, and I think that that's the best place.
Okay, maybe Madam Maureen has something to add on that.
I just wanted to cue in because it's like Mr. Boy is already trying to tell us those strategies or those things that we can do at home to maintain discipline.
Yeah.
Yes, because that is where the problem is also coming from. We are talking of lack of discipline at home, right? Which means we need some strategies to reinforce that discipline to our kids. Because like we said, this home is the first school. When the mind is still very receptive for those children before they even step out to schools. And as of now, we know that there is no corporal punishment in schools. Does it mean that we should stop disciplining our children or correcting them? No, we have to set some rules and regulations. For instance, the first thing is that as a parent, you should set clear expectations. Tell the children what you want at home and be strict about it. It's not just child's play. Because some parents, the truth is that some parents just sit at home. They don't even say anything. It's just, let my people go. Yes. And we have to know as parents that we have different children. We have different parenting styles. You have to try as much as possible to locate that parenting style that you think that is good for your children or for individual kids that you have. There are some that will if you use laissez-faire, you will not succeed. There are some that if you use democratic parenting style, you will not succeed. There are some that you have to be authoritative, but make sure that when you see the one that they need, you go for it. You have to try, because sometimes you don't even know. We all know how children behave. Some are, some are very obedient, some are very malicious, some are very stubborn. So I think we have to look for those strategies. Another thing is that we need positive reinforcement. There is this thing of us African parents. We do not know how to appreciate our children. We only discipline them. We give them rules and regulations. When that child does something good, give him or her thumbs up. You did well. Don't only wait when the child does something wrong, you come and you are eating. Yes, and then we're also talking of consistent discipline. You start doing something.
And then all of a sudden you stop.
All of a sudden you stop. I don't tire me. That is us. Do not give up. As a parent, you know that it is a very long journey. You give birth to a child. That child will start from 0 to 10 to 15, 20. You are, as you are bringing up the child in other aspects, going to school, his health, taking care of his necessities. That idea of discipline is also supposed to be consistent. You are not supposed to give up. Communication. You have to have some open and honest communication with your children. Allow them to talk. The truth is that most of us don't allow our children to talk. We don't even wait to have their feelings. That is the more reason you see a child.
First of all?
That is it. I'm still coming to that, Father.
We are not there. How do you expect the discipline to instill the discipline?
A child comes to you. Yes, you went to work and you are tired. Well, Mommy, I wanted to tell you this. Just me, I'm tired. I've not even eaten. I'm coming back from work. And that is how maybe this child was raped, this child was bullied, and you did not give that child the time, or you did not open up to allow that child to express his or her feelings to you. And then the worst part of it, we want our children to behave, so good, morally upright, but we model different behaviors. I am a mother or a father at home. I smoke, I drink, I get drunk. I even send my children to get me cigarettes. And then you expect that child not to join the gang in the quarter to smoke.
Do what I say, not what I do.
And then when they
like
say,
Mr. Bo said the other time, that you should light the cigarette before bringing it. How do you keep it? How do you keep that cigarette from maybe the store beside the house?
Since there's so much in the house. So we are just saying that parents, they should model desired behaviors. Yes. You do not ask a child, do not smoke. You see those children smoking around the quarter. If I see you there, but when you come back home, please can you go and get me a packet of cigarettes from there, like you said, and you can even remove one. There's not much in the house. Light one before you bring. Light it how?
To preserve it from
and that is it. When you go up to that smoking, we know how our neighborhoods are now. When the child goes out there and see his peers smoking, and they give him to taste, at that time he does not even know the difference, because at home maybe the father is just taking normal cigarettes. There outside we have marijuana, we have Thailand, we have Caillou, we have and all sorts of things, and the child start testing, and that is how the child falls for it. And shisha. Yes, another thing is that we need to seek, if everything is above us, we have tried our best as parents. There is nothing wrong in seeking professional help. There there is commitment.
So we need to create the awareness first and foremost that there is a group of person or an association that is in charge to maybe to help us, put these young boys and girls on the right path. There's a new terminology out there. I'm sure Mr. Bo maybe next week or so, we'll be looking at this whole thing of the junkies and see how we can handle this. Looking at maybe we'll take a day for that and we put things together. If there's a possibility of, like we interviewed, I'm sure one or two few days ago over the CRO TV, and he's out of it, he could share maybe his experience and maybe how do we help these other persons, these other junkies that are there, because like a way of life, there are some persons who are happy to be in that kind of association, but that association that will not carry anywhere. So I think we'll handle that some other times, but we'll be coming to that.
We shouldn't laugh here and we mistake this topic for a light topic, because a lot of things are happening, and if you look at it, you see that even the Bible warns us critically on this aspect of discipline of children. If you look at the book of Proverbs 13:24, Proverbs 22:6, Ephesians 6:4, Hebrews 12:11, there are a litany of quotations that will remind us of the importance of this discipline at home. And this civilization of a thing has come now to make parents to be lukewarm towards issues of discipline and the children. They have let go certain things. They have adapted certain abnormalities and made them normal in front of the children. They sit them. They're so comfortable. Whatever the child does in the house doesn't touch them in any way, and they ignore a lot of things, which results to what we are talking about here now. Yes, you sit and watch your son grows up and gets involved with all sort of things, but it doesn't touch you. Maybe you look at it and you say, after all, the world we are in now is globalized, is civilized, and let me not make my child to behave like a child of those days. Let him be abreast with the recent happenings. And you see, for example, you see parents who will sit and fold their arms and say, let me not be so strict on my children, because they say that if you are so strict on children, they may instead get wild. Who told you that? If they get to that point of getting wild, it's because you have missed a stage. Once you follow the stages as she was mentioning there, setting rules and maintaining the rules, being consistent in whatever you put as rules governing the home, right from the tender ages of those children, before they get to know a lot of things, those rules you have given them must have built a house in them, and once the rules built a house in them, they will never get out of them, and you see them grow to become better persons. So let us take this serious. Let the laughter we laugh here doesn't derail our thoughts towards this.
I reflect on a common parlance which used to say that word, we spare the rod,
Proverbs 13:24. Yes.
Spare the rod and spoil the child,
and train up the child in a way he or she has to go. Even when he or she grows old, he will never depart from it.
Beautiful.
Proverbs 22:6.
Since we have 29 minutes after time 8, we'll be looking at I think also, what do we tell parents now before getting at before we get to this factors? What do we tell the parents? How does a lack of discipline at home affect the child's behavior outside the home? Maybe you see your child, how does this lack of discipline, how can someone handle that? Yes, Madam Onokwe.
Okay, I think lack of discipline affects children academically, and then their behaviors. Academically, lack of discipline makes children fail in school because of lack of good discipline from the house. They cannot concentrate in school because they carry the same bad attitude from the house and portray in school. So those kind of things makes them distracted from education, and the consequences is they fail. Some of the children engage in juvenile activities. Like you said, some parents give children cigarettes. So when they come to school, they want to teach their peers, or they say, I saw mommy or daddy doing this. They want to teach, or if they don't teach, like you said, they will also want to learn because they have seen their parents do it, so they want to try. So those are all juvenile. They engage in juvenile activities. Then some developmental issues, because there are children that, truth be told, in the houses deep in them, they understand that this parenting style is not what I want. And as Madam Maureen said, when they go to talk to their parents and the children and the parents don't give them that audience, it disturbs them, it traumatizes them, you know. And children that are very are introverts and cannot really complain maybe to a counselor in school, a teacher in school, it traumatizes them, and it can even lead to depression. And then some of them struggle with relationships.
Yeah.
You see them fighting in school, you know. All those things are just defensive mechanism that is trying to distract them from what they are facing in their houses.
Yeah, I'm sure we might have something to add.
Just to add, we have this aspect of social, poor social skills for children who are grown up in indisciplined homes. Yeah, I will share an example I experienced some weeks ago while teaching. Some children, ex-students of that school, bash into the school gate during break time and were throwing stones at others in school.
Wow.
I was fortunate enough to lay hands on one of them. Let me apologize, but I had to strike him. I gave him a slap. It may not be good, but his action, it merited more than the slap I gave him. Yeah, and when I did that, he was with a friend. They left out of the gate and they were shouting and telling me they will meet me somewhere and do this. Do you think a child who is grown up in a well-disciplined home will behave like that? I don't think so. So that no respect, actually no respect, and they have this cooperation problems and empathy, So those are some of the evident aspects we can see in children that are brought up in such homes.
Before we come to Mr. Bo, we have consequences of lack of discipline. We're talking about what are some of those long-term effects of poor discipline on the child's future.
Okay.
Those ones like leaving the house.
We have long-term, short-term.
Yeah.
After the long-term effect, we talk about there is the increased risk of addiction. Sometimes you find them get into addiction. Sometimes when they move outside, they go with friends who influence them to start smoking cigarettes. Sometimes they start sleeping outside. You find a situation where children, Jean-Michel Cancan used to cite l'enfant de rue, which they sleep by the street children. Not that they don't have homes, though. They have homes. Have parents who are caring, but they move on. So it gives increased risk of addiction. It may also lead to poor mental health. That aspect of sometimes some of these people, they move out. They can get aspect of depression. And depression is, I used to say that depression is worse than having weak low or toothache. If somebody had weak low or toothache, you will understand. It kills very, very greatly. And when they get to that stage, they now become very uncontrollable. We have another situation of what we call the increased risk of delinquency. They become vandals, get to constantly fighting, like a situation where our brother is citing shooting stones. We have case. I was growing up one time in Street 4, the Great Support. I quite remember when we were young, around class 4, a child said he held this what we call rubber gun. Yes. Catapult. To shoot. I had to bend like that. He said I will bend. I didn't know that I just bent. And then he got one other person on the head. His intention was to shoot. And he did it. So you find situations where people go so wild and they become vandals in the society, and you start imagining what is happening, and uncontrollable. I think those are things. Madam cited, who aspect of relating with others, either their siblings or friends. Getting that, everybody to them is a problem. They have problem with everybody, and they have a common statement, madam. When I leave me, that's what I did.
They should understand me like that.
So some of these things, Madam Maureen, the parents instill this stuff in their minds, that he or she is not different from the grandparent. It's just like the granddad, maybe the grandfather or the grandmother and the rest. And so that's how the grandpa, the same. And so the child carries that all over with him or her till, So I'm okay with this. This is how, because I said this is how grandma used to behave, to talk to people rudely and the rest. Therefore, that's grandma. So I'll just continue that kind of life. You instill those things in there. How do you expect them to change?
I equally wanted to add about the consequences here, talking about those kind of children who have vehemently refused to change or to adhere to rules and regulations. Maybe if some of them even succeed to go through school and they go out there, I think they will have what we call lost opportunities. Why do I say this? We say that a child who is indisciplined is that kind of a child who refuses to take to instructions. Does not even have self-control over his or her emotions. Is impulsive. So when they go somewhere, they have refused to develop, to grow, to learn. For instance, a child is going for an interview, and there, a little something is done. Just for the fact that he is not used to receiving instructions. He doesn't want any authority figure in his life. He flares up and loses that opportunity. So some of them, you find them moving from place to place, even after succeeding to pass through that stubborn age to getting a job. You see them moving from place to place. We are not saying that is, there are other causes why people will be unemployed, but sometimes it's because of your attitude. Sometimes we say that the certificate does not really matter. It is the moral behavior. It is how you carry yourself. They want to see how you will behave when you are in that core, because in most job places they will have what we call code of ethics, right? Yes, and it is mostly built on moral attitude and behavior. Yes, you might have the world certificate, you might have PhDs from Harvard University, but if you are not morally upright, just know that you need something. You need to work on yourself. So we need that. They lose a lot of opportunities. And then you said something here I equally wanted to cue in. I know that we've talked of not pampering our children, but as Katakis said, sometimes when we skip a stage and we want to redeem it at a certain point, we miss it. Some of these children become so aggressive and violent because of the kind of punishment we met on them. Very harsh and violent too.
Malicious.
And then they retaliate very violently. So we are instead coming back to say that we should try as much as possible not to spare the rod and spoil the child, especially when they are still tender. Because when they reach a certain age and you want to bring in some disciplinary measures, they will retaliate. You understand? And this of course have a negative effect, because some of them become psychologically injured and even physical, because even though we talked of no corporal punishment, I don't know what they say about it at home, but even at home we've been seeing every day that we also want to tell parents to discipline their children, but to avoid extreme measures. We have seen parents beat their children to death just because maybe it was not their intention. Homicide, right, father? But they thought they wanted to discipline the child. So we are saying that make sure that if you are still lucky, you're still giving birth, your children are still kids, 0, make sure that do not allow them to reach 10 years. Before you start saying that a child is 5 years, he keeps the cup here, say, when I just live like we were saying, when I just live, and then when they reach 15 years, start telling her to remove that thing. She will react very violently. And sometimes, all of our human beings, our emotions, we find it difficult to control ourselves at certain moments, and then you act instinctively, and before you realize it, you have done the worst. So we're saying that we should instead, they call it that way, you should nip that character when it's still at the bud. When it is still young in them, because like they say, it's very difficult to strengthen a bended tree.
When the iron is hot, you need to work on it.
You need to work on it.
We have this from Mr. Cyril. Good evening to everyone on the platform. I like to see that some children who come from broken homes and children from parents who are never at home should be treated in school with care. I have discovered after working in school that the majority of children or learners who are into deviant behaviors come from families that are well-to-do. Parents provide everything to the children, but they are never present to the children. The presence of parents to their children is more than all the material needs. Most of the children who are into deviant behaviors, I don't blame them. I blame but their parents. This is from Mr. Siri. Thank you very much. We'll be getting back to you. We'll be getting back to you with your names, I'm sure. So what do you think about that, Madam Anukwe? They're still blaming the parents, the one who give everything, even maybe to wash your underwears and the rest. They do everything for them, but their parents are never there.
It's still boiling down to
okay, this is from Sister Shanta, I'm sure, from Kumbu. Thank you very much, Sister Shanta from Kumbu. Thank you very much, sister. Thank you very much.
So it's still boiling down. It's still boiling down to the same thing that we have been saying, that the presence of the parents are much more needed in the lives of the children to avoid all this indiscipline that we are talking about.
Yes, and sometimes we just create scarcity of time. You will see, if we leave this place now and go down here,
Drinking spots.
you will see the places jam-packed with mothers and fathers. But they claim that they do not have time to take care of their children, or they are busy at work. Don't you think that they can also sacrifice that time? I know that some might be there for just today. I think we should reduce that habit of staying out of the home always. We know that we parents too need to interact. We have some social activities, but we should not overdo it. Like I'm saying, if you go down there, you see the place is booming. Mothers and fathers are drinking down there. Some of them will go to nightclubs today, but their children are at home.
If Cameroon wins.
And yes. Yes. So we should know that when you have kids, and they are still under your roof in your house, it is time for you to sacrifice. Yes, you have, it is a duty and your responsibility to take care of those children. So we are still striking of this habit of absentee mothers and fathers. Everybody, we should not, and then sometimes we shift that responsibility to, let me just say, nannies, to elderly ones, or to aunties and uncles that were brought to stay in our houses. Yes, we shift the responsibility to them. At one point too, I think they will get tired and allow the children to do whatever they want. So we are pleading. Yes, now it's a plea to parents to know that all what we are saying here, it boils down to the fact that if you are closer to your children, if you give them time, not only giving them money, not only giving them goodies, buying them dresses, and then you tell her you give your child family allowance 50,000 a month. What more does she need from you? She needs your time. She needs your care. She needs your ears. She needs that you should be there.
She needs a role
She
model.
needs a role model.
Yeah, I'm sure you
we can talk about after the lack of discipline, the effect. And sometimes I wrote on the Faculty of Education, corporal punishment. Sometimes it can be counteractive. Depending on when we treat them maliciously, when people are acting maliciously, it doesn't produce the result. The punishment sometimes it can be as a result to be corrective. Now when we go to corporal punishment, it can be counteractive, and instead of correcting, it gets more and more stubborn and hardened. Yes. So sometimes as well, discipline, you have to be careful. Then we've seen also, I don't, maybe we can touch the topic in future, the effect of divorce.
Yeah, like what sister is saying, most of these children are from homes where mama is not there, or papa is not there, or the parents are, maybe the kids, they grow up with their aunts or maybe uncles or some kind of relatives.
Parents who do boxing and karate at home constantly. Sometimes you see a child sits in class, the child is aggressive, the child is depressed. You need to, if you don't talk to, if you don't talk to them, you may not understand. Now sometimes there was a situation, father, recently in one of the schools, I don't want to call the name, I got a child who was really, a thorn. The child was a vandal, it was aggressive. So it was a girl. After class, I asked two questions. Where do you live? She said it. Are you staying with your parents? She said no. I said, with who? I said, where are your parents? She bent her head and she started weeping. I stopped there. After class, I got a lot, and we able to, when I spoke to her, I got many other things. So sometimes the situation that we find outside, it is not what the child really is. Yes. And then we can find a situation of single parenthood. God made it possible for children to a family, and we have the father and the mother. Now when a child grows to either only the father or only the mother, there is a difference. With a home where you have the father and the mother, there is also a difference.
Yeah, there's something on the social media. I'm sure Madam Nuke might have seen that. If you look on, I saw that on TikTok. You know, they got some stuff which are nice also on TikTok, and it was mother hen with the chicks around. It was really rainy, pretty rainy, and they are encouraging women or parents in general to follow the example of that mother hen.
Yeah,
you know,
open the window and
put every day the rain falls on the parents. but to protect the mother, the chicks, you know. So that is the role of parents. That's what we're calling the parents to, you know, to do. But we need to do that with love. Like the next question, asking ourselves, and Madam Maureen, what are the effective ways for parents to instill discipline without being too harsh? You know, you can instill the discipline without being too harsh. Others, you put the discipline and being so harsh, and you know, you spoil everything. So how can you do that? There's some parents who cannot make that distinction.
Yeah, Father, this is what we have been saying all along. I think when I thought of strategy, how to improve on the discipline we want in our houses. Yeah, sometimes, and I remember we talked last time, I think I've forgotten the topic, and we were talking about productive, I think it was this idea of corporal punishment. I was talking about productive punishment. A child does something at home, and yes, we are talking about the home, and then you come back, maybe the floor is dirty. Just tell that child that you will mop this floor from here to there. What is happening? If the child is not maybe the proper time to mop the floor, or it's not his own share of chores in the house, he will think that is punishment. But at the same time, as he is mopping the floor, he is learning. You know that, because sometimes when you just tell them at their normal time they should mop the floor, but when they think that it is punishment, they will feel differently. But it is productive. Yes, we have already talked of us to trying to listen to them and not being harsh. You know, because sometimes there was a time I took a whip. We were just playing in the quarter with my neighbor, and then a whip that she was going to whip the child, and then I just like, it was painful. This is painful. I say, so if you cannot endure this little pain, you want to whip this child with this kind. I am not saying that we should not discipline our children. Honestly, there are ways that we can discipline them. Yeah. And when you are there, even just your, how do I call it? Sometimes you just have to look at them. Somebody is doing something wrong, just the way you stare at them, you know, they refrain from doing what they were doing. You understand? And you have, that's why we talked of consistency. And to be consistent, you have to be there. Yes, we don't. There are a lot of things that we can do to reinforce. To maintain discipline in our homes. We educate them. We even talk to them when the child does something wrong. Maybe you do not address it immediately. Allow that child, and then when the child comes to talk, tell the child the disadvantages of what she is doing. Yes, you can even say, okay, let me say for kids who still wear Christmas dresses, they are still around 10, 15. You say, okay, maybe you, as a mother, you must have bought it. You say, because you did this thing, I'm not buying you a Christmas dress if you do not change from this, or if you do not do this. Sometimes the dress is already in the box somewhere, right? And it's 24, he does not know that he has, but because you have done this thing, and if you do not change, and if you do not do this, I think if he will change, and if you realize after the Christmas dress, I think he will refrain from that attitude. Maybe it's a particular attitude that he's been doing, and you have been trying to stop for a very long time. You can tell the child that, okay, your sisters are going to school. I will give you, maybe if a child that pays taxes to school, you give taxi money, you do not punish them. Let me say you will not eat today in school. I know someone might say, okay, you do not give food, and then the child will still, no, it's only for that day. But you want, make sure that you do not even beg from any child. We are just trying to do those things. Maybe the child must have eaten at home, because we realize that anything that we want to say might be another person will see the negative part of it. Somebody will say, okay, if you don't give the child food to school, and the child goes and then collapses out of hunger or steal. But there are some little ways we have to talk about those things. We have to try, since we are already avoiding corporal punishment or violent punishment and harsh punishment at home. This kind of beating, physical, how do we call it, physical abuse that we are training children. We have to look for other ways. There is this thing I used to see white people doing, time out. I don't know how it can work with us. Time out. All right. You are not going out today. You are grounded. I think we should start trying it. It will work. I've tried. It will work with tender kids. It will work. It might only be difficult with the adolescents. But I think with a 5-year-old, if you're really serious and you say you stay there, sit on that position, I think it can work. It's working for others, and I'm sure they started with this. Yes, because you know they have told us that all this beating and what we is against the rights of the children, we inflict pain and cause a lot of havoc. So
we have productive punishment on how to maybe to handle that. I'm talking about not being harsh. We do those kind of things with love also. Sister is there. She says there is one thing I want all teachers to know, but they should make sure that they follow up those students or pupils with deviant behaviors so that they can know how to handle it in future. Don't abandon those children on the way. Try your best to handle those children. Thank you very much, sister. That she hopes that all parents were following this program. The parents are there watching the Cameroon match at this point in time. There are others who are not even watching the match. They are on a particular series on TV, and others are maybe in the beer parlor. So we know that the few will get them. They will definitely get maybe reach them to see how they can put this into practice.
I wanted to add to what sister was saying. Yes, we are talking about home training. When you see that it's above you, we all know that children respect and love their teachers so much. They believe that what their teacher, especially like we say when they are still tender, what their teacher says is gospel truth. So when you see that their child, especially tender, is doing that kind of things, make sure that you collaborate with the teacher. Take the child to school. Say, I'm going to report you to your madam. Take the child to school. Yes, report a few issues. You talk about it with with the teacher, with the class teacher, and then I'm sure each time the teacher will be trying to talk to the child, observe, and then make sure that that behavior does not repeat itself. And each time the mother at home say, if you do this thing, I will go and tell your teacher in school. That's just another simple way. We might think that is small, but it really works with children. Because when you take, for example, you do something in school as a teacher and the child come back home, and then maybe the mother or the father has another method of doing it, she will tell you that is not how my madam did it. She's telling you that they still love and respect their teacher so much, and anything that comes from them will work.
And on the other hand, teachers should also be very observant. Because some children are breaking in class, but teachers don't even notice. But if you notice and get to investigate and understand, then you have to address.
That's the more reason we encourage teachers maybe you need to love that particular job. Like Mr. Bo said the other time, it's a vocation. If you are there just maybe to get your money, and you will be difficult for you to trace this. Maybe these are kind of attitudes from kids, when especially in the tender age, we have a responsibility to do that. But like I have a worry, like I'm just saying, how also can parents balance love and discipline in raising up their children, be it in school, be it at home, or wherever you find yourself? How can they balance this, Emma? You are teaching in school. How do you balance this? Love and discipline at the same time.
Yes, Father and fellow panelists here, we know that like he has been singing it here, that punishment should be to correct, not to inflict pain or humiliate the victim. I think that when we want to actually correct our children, that's punish them in court without inflicting much pain, we have been singing on avoiding corporal punishment, but deriving simpler ways of doing this. But I think that it's just like a child does something wrong in class, and you ask the child to go and pick a pin. That's the harsh kind of. But now it seems small. But then if you ask the child to pick that pin, and you don't follow up the punishment, the child will not take that punishment seriously. If you ask the child to write 2 sentences, I will never do this again. If you don't follow up the punishment, you have failed. Because the child will not get the correction from that punishment. But if you ask the child to write just 1 letter here, and you follow up, and then maybe you say, I asked you to write the letter like this, but you have written like this. You make the child to see, to feel that, okay, what he or she did actually merited the punishment you are giving the child. The child, with the consistency that you will be behind the child will learn to adapt to what you are correcting the child towards. That is not doing what he did before. Then if you look at a child doing something wrong and you allow it for the meantime, maybe a child does something wrong, you say, no, leave it, I'll punish the child tomorrow. You postpone punishment, you postpone correction. That child will not learn a lesson from that, and the child may end up adapting that thing or get adapted to what he did earlier. Then equally, to crown it all, this civilization, like I earlier said, I will still keep blaming this, because you see some parents, a child will break, maybe you have bought your child a tablet for games, and the other thing, a child fights with the brother and shoot it down, the thing gets broken. within the twinkle of an eye, a new one is given.
Yes.
That child will not learn anything from that. The child will still spoil it because he or she knows that the next one is on the way. So if a child happens to break the toy you have bought for the child to play with, don't buy it immediately.
Yes.
Scold the child in a lovely way, but do not replace it as soon as possible. Leave it so that the child feels the absence of that toy. Then when you happen to buy the next toy, that child will treat the toy with respect.
All right.
Thank you.
Father, we have been talking a lot, and something just came to my mind that we even forgot to talk about: the benefits of discipline at home.
At home, yeah.
We've talked about maybe the causes, the consequences, and strategies. We have forgotten to say.
Yeah, just maybe say something little about the benefits.
Yes, I wanted to say that there are a lot of benefits, and the first I will talk about is developmental benefits, because when a child is at home and adheres to the rules and regulations at home, it builds up self-control, his emotions, and that child becomes responsible to the extent that even when he moves out of the house, he will be able to respect rules and boundaries out there, which is crucial for social and emotional development. It could be personal emotional development. Yes, and then also for future successes. I'm sure I said it when I was talking about lost opportunities. Children who are disciplined, I already said it, they will always have their way out there. Yes, because in every situation, they are able to overcome. Yes, they do not fight. They are calm, they are sober, they are able to, they take to instructions. And doing that, they will be able to succeed in whatever adventure they take. And then we also talked of positive relationships. Yes, you know, it's very difficult for some people to interact and even maintain relationships. But when a child is well disciplined, you know, he already has that, how do we call it, that emotional grip, personal emotional grip. Yes, he's able to control himself. He will have the kind of friends he makes outside, because everybody will never be the same. You have people out there with different personalities. That child will be able to maintain relationship, will not be able to be alone, not to be able to complain about every other person, because he already knows that he is disciplined, he controls himself, he can regulate his emotions, he can, self-impose and all those things. He's not aggressive. So I just think that those are the few benefits that I can lay my hands on. There are so many others. Yes, the child who is composed. Yes,
thank you very much, Madam Onuke. I'm sure maybe just one word to women. You know, Mr. Bo will talk to men just for about some few seconds as far as this whole thing of discipline is concerned.
Okay, for women, as much as we want to stand and say we are fighting for our rights, some children become wayward because women want to fight. Like they want to prove a point that if the father is not there to take care of the children, they will not also take care of the children. So I want to beg women that for the sake of the future of your kids, be there. Forget if the husband is not, if the father of the child is not. Just take time, concentrate, and take care of your children, because truth be told, you are the one who brought them into this world. They didn't send you a letter. You sent them a letter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bo. To the men, you know, they are mostly absentee landlords. they are hardly there. Theirs is just to, like going back to Plato, you know, Plato's Republic. Theirs is just to give, you know, they are just to, you know, they are to supply the eggs and they leave. How the kids are brought up, that's not their problem. So what do you have for them?
We go back to the Holy Family.
Yeah.
And the example of Joseph. The being present, Joseph used to take the baby Jesus and they work together. We need to be able to be present. Take the children, take the family as your family, and take the child as your friend, to be able to communicate. Even though there are some parents who actually are really busy, but sometimes they should create time, this short time that they have, make sure that even within the week you're busy. There are some days that they know that, okay, I'll have time to dialogue with my kids, I'll have time to dialogue with the family, and sometimes sit. We used to be in a community, in a marriage community and rest, in the supper. Sometimes you sit, have a family meal where you commune with them. They feel love, because you cannot plant corn and harvest cassava. When you plant corn, you harvest corn. Yeah,
thank you very much. Good evening to everyone on the platform. Most of the blame goes to their parents. I remember one girl talked to a friend crying because their father ran away for 2 years now and has never sent food or fees, but answered their call saying he will send money till date, getting to 3 years, nothing. So the parents, this is from Madam Mary Delphine. Thank you very much for that. We want to thank our viewers. We have them all over from Enugu. We have them from the south or from western region. We have them in Bafia. We have them in at the border there, Nigeria border, a cock. Yeah, and the Stainless Sisters. And we
and my number one fan, Father, please. Say Bomtele Erica. I forgot.
Okay.
Yes, I'll always call, even if I do not call other fans, because I'm sure he was glued to his TV.
Yeah, and
my other fans.
Your other fans. Let them carry the message. Let them go spread the gospel. How to encourage parents to take care of their children and so on. And we'll be looking forward to get the Stainless Sisters, and we talk about the entrepreneurial ladies to come on board, to come and tell us, what is happening in the neighborhood. Thank you very much. We want to wish you all a happy feast of the Annunciation, Mr. Bo, today, 25th of March. Yeah, we want to wish you all a very special feast of the Annunciation. Looking forward to to celebrate Holy Week and Easter, of course. And to all those who have birthdays this particular day, may God continue to bless you. Thank you very much, Jesse. Thank you, those working here, the director of communication, Reverend Father Solomon Ekundi, and the manager, Madam Joyce Bong, and the number one supporter and promoter of the TV, Bishop Michael Bibi. God bless you. Stay blessed. See you tomorrow.